Hi everyone, welcome back to the Dataholics YouTube channel. I am Akshat Agrawal, and in this video we are going to study and practice to build a SQL agent using LangChain. So it will be a very wonderful project with full hands-on learning. How do we apply the components which we study in LangChain, right? And the prerequisite to this video will be basics about LangChain. And even if you don't know very much, I will try to cover some things which are to be used in this current project, right? So I am taking the help of LangChain official documentation. And the only reason to use this documentation as a reference is that we should know and we should always try to learn from the official documentation source, which is very helpful to get the relevant and the latest information, right? So without wasting much of the time, let us see the project, right? So to build the overview of this project, in this tutorial you will learn how to build an agent that can answer questions about a SQL database using LangChain agents, right? So basically we will create such a model, such an application which we will create an agent actually which will fetch the available tables and schema from the database, decide which tables are relevant to that question, fetch the schema for the relevant tables, generate a query based on that question you asked, double check the query for common mistakes using LLM, right? Execute the query and return the result, and also correct mistakes surfaced by the database engine until the query is successful, right? Formulate a response based on the result. So these are the features which our agent will be able to accomplish. So before deep diving into the theoretical part, let me show you an example. So here is the code which we are going to see in today's video. It's a very simple code, बहुत आसान है ये, right? And here if you come at the bottom, I'll show you the result actually. So I have a dataset database connected to this. Agent.invoke input list 5 customers from India. So there is a schema, there is a database on which this agent is trained, right? And as soon as I give this natural language input, it is going to give me the output in the actually SQL query actually reads, right? See, select first name, comma last name, comma email from customers table where country is equal to India, limit 5. Right? So this is the exact SQL code, and it is also giving us the sample output. This is how our output will look like, right? So I hope this helps, and actually it's a very fascinating project because whenever we try to learn SQL or any other new language or skills, so we are all very much confused, and AI is at our rescue. But unfortunately, I cannot give my personal company's data or my sensitive data to any model, right? I cannot expose it to ChatGPT or anywhere else. So by learning this project, by doing this project, we will be able to do a lot of hands-on to create such a SQL agent for our own self based on our own data schema, right? So let us have some theoretical understanding before directly coming to the project, because it is very important to have the fundamentals clear, that what are the things which we are going to use in today's project, right? So these are the steps. I hope you understood now. So this SQL agent will fetch the tables and schema from the database. It will decide which tables to use for the query. It will fetch the schema for the relevant tables. It will create the query. It will double check the query for any mistakes, execute the query, return the result, and correct mistakes surfaced by the database engine until the query is successful, right? So before jumping directly, so let us understand 2-3 words actually. What are agents actually, right? So agents are nothing but to accomplish some real world use cases by combining the language models with the tools to create systems that can reason about the task, decide which tool to use, and iteratively work towards a solution. Example, in our use case, we will try to build some agent which will have some language model which can understand our natural language. What are the top customers? It's a natural language in English. With some tools, the database on which this agent will be trained, like the schema, the database, different APIs, and so many things. comes under the section of tools, so that it can create a system that can reason about our task, think about our task, decide which tables to use, what schema to use, and whatever to do, and then do the task for us, write the SQL query, give us the output, right? So create agent is basically provides a production ready agent implementation in LangChain. We will see about that. That's not a big issue. So I hope we are able to understand basic about agent. Then what are tools? So when we talk about tools, so the thing is, many AI applications interact with the users via natural language. So some use cases require models to interface or interact with external systems like APIs, databases, file systems using structured outputs, right? So these APIs, databases, or external connections are called tools, which our agent will use to perform, to execute the task given to it, right? So tools are the components that AI agents call to perform actions. They extend the model's capability by letting them interact with the world through well-defined inputs and outputs, right? So basically tools will extend the capability of any model, right? So in our use case also, we are going to use OpenAI model, ChatGPT, and along with our database, so that it can query on our data from our tables and give us the relevant output based on our schema, right? So I hope we are basically clear about the basics of tools and agents. So agents are something which can perform the action using some tools like databases, APIs, and all, right? So let's go further. And these are the installation. Langsmith is used to monitor or debug the application, which I'll show you. So see, I have ran this code, right, 2-3 times for testing. And when I come to the Langsmith dashboard, here we have an option of tracing projects. You see this Langsmith, just use your email ID. It will be free of cost, right? So as soon as I come to the tracing project, it will give you all the iterations which we have done so far on that project, right? So SQL agent executor was executed. Input to this was our query. Like if I expand this, this was the input which I asked. What is the document loader? List 5 customers from India. How many tracks are in the Chinook database? List 5 customers from India. How many tracks are in Chinook database, and so on and so forth. And its output, start time, latency, dataset used, right? So you can see a lot of things right here, correct? So this is Langsmith, which is used to debug or monitor our application, right? So yeah, so we will first install the libraries, dependencies, Langsmith, select the LLM, large language model, which large language model we are going to use. OpenAI, Anthropic, Azure, Google Gemini, AWS Bedrock. These are a few options. In this tutorial, I will be using OpenAI paid API key, right? So we will just do this configuration, set up the database, call the database using an API, and then we will have the database configured in our system, in our application, and then we will try to build the agent, correct? But now let me tell you very honestly, while I was working and exploring this documentation, I was stuck on a few parts, right? Because we have to be very, very careful about the version of LangChain community, and other dependencies we are using. I was using LangChain's latest version, pip install LangChain. So I got the latest installation, but this SQL database kit toolkit, which is very helpful to set up the database, was not working compatibly with that version. So I have used a different version of LangChain, and in this documentation, they have given some different logic, different code actually. Logic behind the scenes are same. The approach to the problem solving is same, right? So that is the thing. And now I hope we are basically clear with the steps and whatever we are going to do. Now let us go to the code and let us understand it in depth, correct? So here is a difference in our project from the official documentation which I was showing to you. The only difference is that our code uses the newer OpenAI tool agent, which is actually better. When I studied it about it or researched about it, OpenAI tool was actually better than creating a React SQL agent, right? So we use agent type is equal to OpenAI tool, which is more stable, less prone to hallucinations. Like hallucinations means when AI model gives you some output which is not actually present. It just imagines to next level. Maintains clear SQL structure, and this OpenAI tool is mainly designed for GPT 4.1 and future models, right? In the documentation they have used React SQL agent. It is based on step-by-step reasoning prompts. It is more error prone. Sometimes writes invalid SQL. Our model OpenAI tool will be creating better SQL structures, queries, right? And all of the things. Why it is better, I have mentioned the reasons here. Now let us see the code. And it's very simple, trust me. There are only 5 to 6 steps in this project. Just try to understand and implement the same. I will forward this Collab notebook in the description so that you can, or maybe I'll give you the GitHub link to this project so that you can get the code and do the same practice, right? And at the end of this tutorial, I will also suggest, which I am trying actually, I'll also suggest a few enhancements in this project, right? So that we can try to build some real world problem solving applications, correct? And trust me, if you are able to build actually there are already so many applications for this, but building something on our own is a real feeling, right? It makes me happy and I hope you too. So we'll try to build some real world application which will help any user, any learner to choose the database and practice SQL, learn SQL, or write efficient SQL queries using our model, correct? So I'll suggest you few enhancements at the end. So I'm using pip install LangChain 0.3.4 version, pip install LangChain community 0.3.3 version, pip install LangChain OpenAI 0.2.2. LangChain is the core framework which we are going to use to build LLM powered applications. So that is why I have to install it. LangChain community is majorly for integrations, to utilize tools, agents, and SQL utilities, correct? Then look, LangChain OpenAI is the wrapper for OpenAI models to use OpenAI models or other models from OpenAI. Then pip install Langsmith. Langsmith is for debugging or monitoring the tools which we have created, the agents, right? So we have installed these. Then set up the Langsmith to inspect what is happening inside your chain or agent. That is why we are using Langsmith. Import OS and get pass. So OS is basically to define environment variables, and get pass is to secretly take it as an input. So the point is, I cannot, or nobody can share their private keys with you openly. So I am using getPass to take OpenAI API key and Langsmith key as private. So but Langsmith key was free, so I have mentioned it here. You can create easily go to Langsmith platform and come to the settings, and you can create your API key like this. At the top right, API key, description, let's say trial SQL Agent 1, and workspace you can choose, expiration date never, and you can create an API key by clicking on this button, correct? And please copy this API key and save it somewhere, because you will not be able to see it again, correct? So that is the thing. And yeah, so you can use your Langsmith API key and put it here. So os.environment Langsmith tracing is equal to true, because I want my application to be traced, monitored by Langsmith. That is why I am giving this parameter as true. And os.environment Langsmith API key getPass, enter your Langsmith API key. So let me keep executing this as well, so that it will be better. Right, and so it is asking me to enter your Langsmith API key. I'll just copy this my API key like this, and it has some letters changed. I have copied the correct key. So enter. Right, now select an LLM. So our environment variables and dependencies are loaded. Now the next step is to create the LLM model which we are going to use. So in this tutorial, I'll be using OpenAI API paid keys, right? So you can easily get OpenAI paid API key by spending 400-500 rupees in Indian rupees, and I guess $5 of minimum credit on OpenAI platform, correct? So we have to choose a model that supports tool calling, because we ultimately we have to call different tools for SQL utilities. correct? So some suggestions are here from the official documentation actually. And from LangChain OpenAI, import chat OpenAI, because chat OpenAI is for chat model. LangChain wrapper for OpenAI. So chat OpenAI will help give us the capabilities to build chat models, correct? And import OS and get pass again. And here I am taking the OpenAI API key as an input. So let me just put it here. So I have entered my OpenAI API key, which was paid, and you can also try it with free models from Hugging Face or any other LLM model. That is not a very big issue, right? Results may vary, but yeah. Now, in this line, I have taken the input from the user for OpenAI API key, and in the next line, model is equal to chat OpenAI and model is equal to GPT 4.1. So this is where I am initiating or creating an LLM object, right? The name is model, and I have already executed it. Now, here I have not given any, actually I have not tweaked it much, but you have some parameters which you can tweak. Stream usage is equal to true. Temperature is for, imagination. If you want your AI model to imagine and for creativity, for innovation kind of things, then you can set the temperature high, otherwise low, right? Maximum tokens, when time out, reasoning efforts, and so many things. You can tweak these parameters for better or custom models, correct? So I have initialized the model object chat OpenAI. Next, configuring the database. Now I will use Chinook database actually, so which is on SQLite platform, and you will get the link from here as well. It's very simple. Let me show you. SQL database toolkit. Yes, right. So you will get the API key here itself, like here, right? If you see this code hole, in this code, what they are doing is they are doing an actually doing a HTTP request on this link. This is the API to get the database, correct? If I show you, and let me just copy the link so that I can show you something. So this is the open source API. Yeah, so the site is loaded, and if you see here, this is Chinook, right? So now what we are doing is we are just making an API call using request library in Python, right? So request library in Python helps us to make the API call, and I have given a detailed description here. What is pathlib? Why do we use it? What is the URL of the file? API actually. Define the local path, check if the file already exists, download the database and everything. Now let us implement it. So import request and pathlib. URL is equal to the same URL which I have got from the official documentation. Instead of this, if you want to train this agent on your own custom database, here in this part of the code, we will have to make some changes, right? That will be our next step. But for now, this is open source API, which we are making the call. Local path is equal to set the path actually. If local path already exists, so we will say it already exists, skipping to download. Otherwise, I will request actually make an API call to the above URL. And if the API call is successful, that means the response.status code is equal to 200. If this API call is successful, then I will write the content from the response as in raw bytes and print a user success message, file downloaded and saved. But if it fails, then I will say failed to download the file, right? So let me execute this part of the code. It says Chinook DB already exists, skipping download, because I have already downloaded it once. So how will you verify it? Once you come to the directory, you see Chinook.db will be there in your system, correct? So now the database is configured. Basically, we have connected Python LangChain with that database. This is what we have done in this part of the code, nothing else, correct? And after running this above script, we will see Chinook.db downloaded in our directory. This is the database, correct? Now we are going to use SQL database wrapper in LangChain community to interact with the database, correct? The wrapper will provide a simple interface to execute SQL queries and fetch the result. So I hope we are able to understand till here. First, we have installed all the dependencies. Then we have put the API key for OpenAI and Langsmith. Then what we have done is we have actually connected Python LangChain with Chinook database, our database, right? Now we will try to do some query on that database since it is already loaded into our system, correct? That's very simple. So from LangChain community .utilities, import SQL database and DB, creating an object of SQL database dot from URI, and this will be the path from the directory actually, right? And then I am doing the query. Available tables is equal to DB. DB is the SQL database object dot get usage table names. So it will give you the names from the database, table names from the database. Next, sample output is equal to db dot run, and this is my SQL query in natural language, in English. And see the wonder magic. Available tables, album, artist, customer, employees, and all of these are available tables. And this is the output of the query which we asked. Select star from artist, limit 5. So it is giving you top 5 rows from the artist table, right? Isn't it interesting? There was a SQL database in which it had multiple tables, a very complex schema, but I can simply use a ChatGPT like model, or we have built our own model agent in which we are asking the query in English and it is giving you the seq output, correct? We will also see how do we build the SQL query, but now the things are getting interesting, right? Another question, db.run, select star from album. So this is the table, the data from the table album, correct? So this is our first achievement. And if you are able to follow this tutorial and execute till here, please hit the like button and comment down below your experiences till now from this video. What are you learning and how are you enjoying to build an agent, right? Then okay, so there is one more option actually, SQL database toolkit. It was not supported in the latest version of LangChain or the version which I am using, right? But it was also helpful to connect and interact with the database. It has some pros and cons which I have mentioned here. Just go through it once, right? In SQL database kit, database toolkit, it is used by AI agents, LangChain agents. It allows the agent to think about the question, understand the tables, decide which tools to call, generate SQL query, validate the SQL query, and execute the SQL query via this module, right? But I have used something else here, and which is much better, right? So to study about SQL database toolkit, I have given the official documentation link here, which you can refer, right, for better understanding. Now, SQL database kit is not compatible with the LangChain version which we are using, as I already told you. So we are using create SQL agent from LangChain community toolkits to build our SQL agent. And again, for some installations, import actually from LangChain community.agents _ toolkits.sql.base, import create SQL agent. So this is what we are going to majorly build. And if you see the documentation here, this create SQL agent will demand LLM model, a toolkit, which is optional database, SQL database toolkit, and then agent type and other things, right? As per our usage, we will set these parameters. Then from LangChain _ community.utilities, we are importing the SQL database, and LangChain OpenAI, we are importing chat OpenAI model, correct? Then DBR model is already created and it is already installed here. Then we are going to create the SQL agent. Now we are going to create such an agent which can understand our DB database schema, plan how to answer the questions, write SQL query, execute it, and return the answer, right? And while building this SQL agent, the agent type, this agent type model, see, create SQL agent, this agent type. This is one of the parameters, right? The agent type is OpenAI tool or tool calling. So I am currently using OpenAI tool, which is more better. I have already mentioned the reasons, right? So agent type is equal to OpenAI tool. It is the newest method in OpenAI function calling. It is stable and also accurate, generates accurate query, right? So verbose is equal to true to see all the whatever is happening behind the scenes in the output. So we are going to create the SQL agent. Agent is equal to create SQL agent. LLM is equal to the model which we have initiated above, ChatGPT OpenAI model. DB is equal to DB which we have already initiated above, database. Agent type is equal to OpenAI tools, and the verbose is equal to true. So by this I am creating an agent, a SQL agent actually, correct? And then what I will say, agent.invoke input, what I'm giving is how many tracks are there in Chinook database. So this is a natural language SQL query. Let us see what our agent gives in the output. So it is giving you invoking this SQL DB list tables in the backend, correct? And these are the tables which it found in the database schema, and invoking this with this table name track, because this is the relevant table for this question, right? So see how wonderfully it is getting into the database schema, finding the relevant table, and then seeing the like the whole table, how it is created and all the schema of the table actually, and then 3 racks from the track table for sample in what the table contains. And then it is giving the query select count of star as track count from the track table. This is the final SQL query which it is giving, right? So we gave an English input and got a SQL query in the output, correct? It is very interesting. To be very honest, I don't know about you, but when I first built this project, I was amazed, because years ago I used ChatGPT for such things. I used other many applications to learn SQL, to practice SQL, but this was something really amazing when you try to implement such applications yourself, right? Of course, there are so many modifications needed in this project, but this is a small milestone, right? And I would suggest you, highly suggest everybody who is watching this tutorial to try it out. You will really get a good feeling, right? And share your feelings in the comment section. So this is the query which we are getting, and there are 3503 tracks in the Chinook database. It is giving you the query as well as the output, right? So input output. Another question, list 5 customers from India. So it will give you it will find the relevant table. First it will see all the tables, then it will find the customer table which is relevant for this query, for this question, the schema of the customer table, 3 rows from the customer table, and it is giving you the query, right? As well as the final output, correct? So I hope this was helpful, and that's all for this tutorial. That is all which I wanted to share with you. I'll share this code on GitHub and give you the GitHub link in the description of this video. Try this out, and let us do some more better learning in a practical manner. Right, and I hope you enjoyed learning this and you got some amazing insights from this tutorial. And let me also show you real world use cases of such an application, right? So where some use cases are there where you can use this SQL agent: business analytics dashboard, finance reporting, retail inventory queries, HR employee information agents, customer support data lookup, learning and teaching SQL interactively. So basically, a customer, like, just let me give you an example. For example, let's say there is someone who is a non-technical user, who is always dependent upon a technical guy or a data analyst or a business analyst for all the insights from the SQL database. But now, by building such an application, or getting this application built by someone, they can simply give their natural language input and get the SQL query as well as the output from the SQL database. Just imagine how helpful it would be for an HR, for a marketing professional, for a sales guy, right? Or for someone who is into the management position, since they do not have so much time to write queries or to see the whole database, understand the schema and everything. They can simply train their own SQL agent on their own database, and just in a matter of seconds they will get their desired query as well as the output, right? Just imagine learning and teaching the SQL interactively, because this is my belief that I would try to build such an application in the longer run. That let's say there is a student who is learning SQL, and they want to practice on different databases. So let's say we build such a website or a platform where students can come filter their database, and the LLM will already be trained on all of the data sets. They will have the question, they will write their query, and they can generate the query through AI so that they can compare. If they are not able to solve the query, they can see the reference or take the out solution from AI, and then that's how they can practice real world problems on real world data sets, right? So there are so many much use cases to this problem statement, and at the end, as I already mentioned, that a few modifications which I would like to suggest after this video. So we all will try to build this together, including me, right? This is my personal target as well. Uh, so just a few modifications which I can think of right now. First modification will be that how can we train this on our own personal database? Personal database. Second, we will build a UI building, UI interactive UI on which user do not have to always come to the code and execute this. They will have a front end on which they can interact, give the question and get the output, right? And we can use LangSmith and LangGraph to deploy this application and monitor and debug the application. Use LangSmith, LangGraph for better deployment and monitoring of this application. So, and also how can we build it on multiple databases, right? Right now we have built it on single database, how we can use multiple databases for it, right? So these are the few modifications which I can think of right now. If you have any modifications in your mind, do suggest in the comment section, and let us try to build a useful application, right? So that's all for this video, guys, and I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. And if you really learned something, please consider subscribing this YouTube channel. Do like this video. It is free for you, but it really helps us and motivates us to create better content and always work hard towards this, right? So that's all, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much.